Chakshurmilitam jena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupagada Mayam Dati Swabharantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Paragamalam Sri Guru Vaishnavam Cha Sri Rupam Sagra Jatam Sahagana Ragamatam Vitantam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakanditam Scha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Suti Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Panchakalpatarubhascha Kripa Sindhu Bhivacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudidayet Nashta Preshu Badreshu Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya Bhagavad Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistaki. Today, Thursday, May 22nd, 2025. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, the Bhagavata Purana, Canto 4, Creation of the Fourth Order, Chapter 28, King Paranjana becomes a woman in his next life. Text number 34. Hitva grihan sutan bhogan Vaidarbi Madirekshana Anvadavata Panjesham Jochneva Rajanikaram Yidva Grihan Sutan Bhogan Vaidarbi Madirekshana Anvadhavata Pandesham Jochneva Rajanikaram Viva Grihan Sutan Bhogan Vaidarbhi Madirekshana Anvatavata Pandyesham Jochneva Rajanikaram.
Itva grihan sutan bhogan
Itan Grihan Sutan Bhogan
Vaidarbi Madirikshana Anvadavata Pandyesham Jochneva
Rajanikaram Idva Grihan Sutan Bhogan Vaidarbhi Madirekshana Anvadavata Pandesham Jochneva Rajanikaram Idva Grihan Sutan Bhogan Vaidarbhi Madirekshana Jochneva Rajanikaram. The synonyms, please repeat. Hidva, giving up. Grihan, home. Sutan, children. Bhogan, material happiness. Vaidarbhi, the daughter of King Vidarbha. Madila Ikshana, with enchanting eyes. Anvadavata, followed. Come on up here. Pandya Isham, King Malayadhwaja. Jyotsna Iva, like the moonshine. Rajanikaram, The moon. Translation by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Just as the moonshine follows the moon at night, immediately after King Malayadhwaja departed for Kulachala, his devoted wife, whose eyes were very enchanting, followed him, giving up all homely happiness, despite family and children. Please repeat. Just as the moonshine follows the moon at night.
Just as the moonshine follows the moon at night.
Immediately after King Malayadhwaja
Immediately after King Dhirodatta
departed for Kulachala, his devoted wife, whose eyes were very enchanting, followed him, giving up all homely happiness, despite family and children. Purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Just as in the Vanaprastha stage, the wife follows the husband, similarly, when the spiritual master retires for Nirjana Bhajana, some of his advanced devotees follow him and engage in his personal service. In other words, those who are very fond of family life should come forward in the service of the spiritual master and abandon so-called happiness afforded by society, friendship, and love. A verse by Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakur in his Guru Vashtaka is significant in this regard. Yasya prasadad bhagavat prasada. A disciple should always remember that by serving the spiritual master, he can easily advance in Krishna consciousness. All the scriptures recommend that it is by pleasing the spiritual master and serving him directly that one can attain the highest perfectional stage of devotional service. The word Madhirekshana is also significant in this verse. Srila Jiva Goswami has explained in his Sandarbha that the word Madhira means intoxicating. If one's eyes become intoxicated upon seeing the deity, he may be called Madhirekshana. Queen Vaidarbi's eyes were very enchanting, just as one's eyes are Madhirekshana when engaged in seeing the temple deity. Unless one is an advanced devotee, he cannot fix his eyes on the deity in the temple. Itva grihan sutan bhogan vaidharbi madhirekshana anvadhavatapan desham jochneva rajanikaram. Just as the moonshine follows the moon at night, immediately after King Malayadhwaj departed for Kulachala, his devoted wife, whose eyes were very enchanting, followed him, giving up all homely happiness despite a family and children. Mukum koloti bachalam hangam lagayate girim jadkripa tamaham bande sigurum dinatadanam paramananda madhavam. So did you ever see anyone greeting the deities like this? I hope not. Jai Bhagavan. But Prabhupada makes the point that actually one who can fix his eyes, his senses, upon the form of the deity, that's not an ordinary person. When I started coming to the temple, I went to the temple for some little time, and then I brought my little brother with me. And they used to do this thing in many of our temples, perhaps they still do in some places, not here, where before the greeting of the deities, they would get this charcoal briquettes, little ones, and fire them up and then fill it with frankincense or some such incense. We used to get this incense from the Lutheran supply store in Philadelphia, the Lutheran church supply store. They actually had the little particles that you would put on those hot charcoal briquettes, and it would create all this nice smoke. And then, so by the time they opened the curtain for greeting the deities, then all this smoke would come billowing out from the altar. It's very ecstatic. I don't know. Do they do that in Mayapur?
I haven't seen Mayapur in San Diego yet.
San Diego, yeah. So they used to do that in Dallas. And then, so the first time I took him to the Sunday feast, the first part of the program would be the artik. So the curtains opened up, all the smoke comes billowing out, and everyone offers their obeisances. It's very ecstatic. And they have a pretty good sized altar in terms of volume, cubic inches in Dallas, because it's like 2 stories tall, the altar, the space. So it's big. Used to be a basketball court, so it's got a high ceiling. And then he told me when we were going home, he said, when they opened the curtains and all the smoke came out and I saw the deities, he said, I felt like I was going to cry. And I was impressed by that. So really? I didn't feel like I was going to cry. I may be crying now, but those are not tears of ecstasy. It's allergy season. I'm allergic to ragweed. Now, normally and everywhere else in the country, allergy season begins on August 31st or September 1st, when the ragweed blooms. And then all the allergy sufferers begin to lament. But here we have a special kind of ragweed called canyon ragweed that blooms at the end of April and goes on for weeks. And those of you who are not allergy sufferers have no idea what I'm talking about. The rest do. So, anyway, those are not tears of ecstasy or blinking of the eyes, but that is actually just a reaction of the modes of nature and nothing more. And someone's saying, oh, he's crying during greeting of the deities. He must be a very advanced devotee. And the allergy medicine is so horrible, the side effects, that it's practically not worth taking, at least in my experience. So, but this is a very nice descriptive verse, because it's talking about Vaidarbhi, the daughter of King Vidarbha, who is Paranjana. And this King Paranjana, in his previous life, has now become a woman. The title of this chapter, Paranjana becomes a woman in his next life, is now the princess. But she's extremely beautiful and has very enchanting eyes. I have one friend in Maryland who's a Bangladeshi sitar player, very accomplished artist, about my age, maybe a year or two older. And of course, she's Bengali, because Bangla means Bengal and Desh means place. So formerly, it was East Bengal and West Bengal. And now there's the state of West Bengal, where our Mayapur Dham is. But that is very close to the border of Mayapur. And the river Jamuna actually flows in East Bengal, which is now known as Bangladesh. But the particular feature of Bangladesh is a Muslim country, Muslim majority country. Difficult situation for the devotees, because amongst the Muslims there are many intractable fanatics who hate Hindus. And many associates of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually appeared in Bangladesh, in East Bengal, also sometimes called Radha Desh. That means the place where the Ganges does not flow. So anyway, that's East Bengal. Bangladesh. And then my friend, the Muslim sitar player, she was telling me that, she said, oh, the Bengali women have very enchanting eyes. So be careful, do not look into the eyes of the Bengali women. It was so funny, so hilarious. And although she's a Muslim, she's a friend of the devotees and has performed at the temple there in DC many times. And she's practically not like a Muslim, she's more like a devotee, always wears a sari. And so it's interesting to meet someone like that. They're telling me about the Bengali eyes. I thought it was pretty hilarious when she told me. She was talking about herself or somebody else. Pretty entertaining stuff. You come to Krishna consciousness, you will get to experience so many things that you never would have gotten to otherwise. And that our experiences in pursuit of Krishna consciousness in the International Society for Krishna Consciousness open us to so many opportunities of experience that someone who is not a devotee can never experience or will never experience and cannot understand at all the life of a devotee. Only another devotee can very easily understand. And so there can be unspoken communication and shared experience among devotees that you cannot get elsewhere. You cannot get, just like the merchants in Vrindavan when you're purchasing something, buying some cloth, and they will tell you, better quality you cannot get. So better experience of the world through the lens or through the eyes of Krishna consciousness, you cannot see. Therefore, some devotees will say that a devotee should never get married to someone who is not a devotee. Because the person who's not a devotee, they cannot understand. How can they understand what is the life of a devotee? What is the life of hearing and chanting? And what is this surrender thing? What is this surrender business? Normal people don't surrender, consciously surrender. Their life is one of dedicated non-surrender. Of course, everyone has to surrender. People have to surrender to so many things, to the boss. And one devotee was a Prabhupada disciple, like doing some computer programming work or some such thing. He was talking to his boss, and he was telling him how everything comes from Krishna. He was preaching to the boss. Not always a good idea. And the boss says, well, everything comes from Krishna, but your paycheck is coming from me. So you have to surrender to me. What a rascal. And then there's the story of non-surrender that Srila Prabhupada talks. Two men were discussing what is superior, the paper or the scissors?
The knife or
Yeah, the knife or the scissors. The knife or the scissors. And so neither one of them could agree with the other's point of view. And their argument became so heated that finally the knife man threw the scissors man into the river. You know, scissors man, you'll never understand the proper point of view. And as he's drowning, as he's going down, his hand is sticking out of the water, and he's doing the scissors motion, right? But we still get a chuckle out of that. So that is the non-surrender of the materialist, who is convinced that there is no God and that there is no surrender. And those who adopt the demoniac principles of life, by association, they are like that. What does Krishna say? Asatyam apratishtam te jagadadhuranishwaram. Neither truth, nor cleanliness, nor proper behavior is found in them. And jagadadhuranishwaram, they think there is no God in control of the universe. Jagadadhur. Ishwara means God. Anishwara, there's no God. Jagadadhuranishwaram. And Srila Prabhupada has written and explained to us that this, and the one is thrown into the clutches of the material energy, which has two potencies, the throwing potency and the covering potency. One becomes covered, one's consciousness becomes covered in such a way that the spirit soul, although he is the servant of Krishna, he becomes filled with a sense of godlessness under the influence of the material energy. Jagadadhuranishwaram. And thus, asatyam apratishtamte. Asatyam. Satya means truth. Asatya means no truthfulness is found there. Asatyam apratishtamte. Neither truth, nor cleanliness, nor proper behavior is found in them. Interesting, this verse says that just as the moonshine follows the moon at night. So the moon is not present just simply by itself, but it has its effulgence, its shining effect. So also does the sun. And that moonshine permeates the atmosphere and gives life to all the vegetables, Prabhupada says. And then we read recently that story where Vishaka asked Prabhupada on a morning walk about how is it the moon, how does the moon give life to the vegetables through its shining? And then Prabhupada turned to her and said, why don't you ask him? Which is, you never knew what Prabhupada was going to say. It was unpredictable. Such was his level of Krishna consciousness that none of us could quite understand what he would do, what he would say. Now, as far as the enchanting eyes of Vaidarbhi, I thought I would refer to some verses from Shastra that talk about the eyes. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says in one of his verses in the Shastakam, Nayanam Gadara Sarudharaya Bandhanam Gadgarudaya Gira Ulakaira Nichitam Babu Gada Tavanama Grahani Bhavishyati. Nayanam Gara Sarudhaya. Nayanam means the eyes. When will my eyes be filled with tears of love? Tavanama Grahani Bhavishyati. Tavanama, your name, Grahana, chanting your holy name. When will my eyes become filled with tears when I chant your holy name? So a pure devotee who was on the very elevated platform of pure Krishna consciousness, they feel ecstasy when they chant the holy name of Krishna, and their eyes can flood with tears. There are different ecstatic symptoms. Advasatvika, bhava, vikar, these different ecstatic symptoms that manifest. And one of them is that the tears become flooded with eyes. And sometimes Srila Prabhupada exhibited this extraordinary tears in his eyes. The tears would jump out from his eyes and wet everyone around him. I have never experienced that. I've never seen anything like that. No one practically has even heard of something like that. Yet Prabhupada exhibited that, where the tears were just jumping from his eyes and shooting out in all directions from his eyes and wetting the devotees around. They were astounded by that. Like, where do you see that? So that is transcendental crying, ecstatic symptoms. So not only, of course, the eyes, that verse, Vandanam Gadgada Hridaya Gira, the voice, his voice becomes choked up, and his body is shivering and experiencing different types of ecstasy like that. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has included that verse in his Shikshashtaka prayers just to give us a glimpse of the further stages of Krishna consciousness. Not unreachable, but not easily attained either, and not cheaply imitated, as some people may do, or try to do, like rolling on the ground in ecstasy. So one time in the Vrindavan temple, back in the 70s, one man came and he started rolling on the ground during the artik. And devotees didn't know what to do. So they just ignored him. And then after a short time, the man who was interested in not being ignored, but wanted some attention, obviously, by this performance, he saw that no one was paying any attention to him, so he just got up and walked away. And then they asked Prabhupada about that. Prabhupada, what should we do when someone is doing like that? And Prabhupada says, you can kick him. And then if he protests, then he is fake, he is not in ecstasy. If he is complete ecstasy, he would not notice being kicked. See Prabhupada's sense of humor. Oh, just kick him. That way you can test the authenticity of his ecstatic. But if he protests, oh, why are you kicking me? Oh, he's not in ecstasy. He's just faking it. He's a faker. He's not a fakir. He's a faker. So there's a difference. A fakir is actually a holy person, a saintly person in the Muslim tradition. Sanatana Goswami had been serving in the court of the Muslim king, and he'd even changed his name, Dabir Khas, to a Muslim name, and he was, prime minister, very important government man. So we can imagine he might have had a beard. And then when he escaped from the imprisonment that the Muslim king, Nawab Hussein Shah, had imposed upon him. Actually, I was hearing a lecture where Prabhupada was saying that, talking about this, that Sanatana Goswami was staying home and studying Srimad Bhagavatam with some brahmanas. And then he was reporting sick to the Nawab and not coming into the palace to perform his duties. So the Nawab sent his personal physician to check up on Sanatana Goswami at his place. And he came back and reported to the Nawab that no, he is not sick. He appears perfectly healthy to me. He is studying Srimad Bhagavatam in the assembly of Brahmanas. And the Nawab was furious. So he called in Sanatana to go into the office. And the Nawab told him, you are very important to me because you are such a good manager. You're so expert at managing the court and running the kingdom. And that leaves me free to go out and conquer, which is referred to in Chaitanya Charitamrita as causing pain to other living entities, especially other Hindu kings. He was causing them pain by his aggressive military activities. So Sanatana said, well, Nawabji, Your Majesty, I am very sorry, but I can no longer serve you properly according to your desires. And so the Nawab said, if you do not do your service, then I'm going to punish you. And Sanatana said to him, okay, you are the king. That means you are the representative of God. sometimes the king is called Naradev. He's like a god amongst human beings. Nara means human. Deva means God. You're the representative of God. You're empowered by God to be the king. So, although you cannot say that in modern democracy, necessarily, that the president, although he thinks he's been chosen by God, and he's on a mission from God, just like the Blues Brothers. We're on a mission from God. I don't know if you ever saw that movie, but they were these musicians who were not very godly persons. And they said they were on a mission from God. That was their shtick. And then I said, okay, then I'm throwing you into jail. Take him away. And they threw him into prison. Then Rupa Goswami had left a deposit of gold coins, 7,000 gold coins. Imagine how valuable that is, even today. But then it's incredible fortune. Hundreds and millions, billions of rupees, billions of dollars, huge fortune. On deposit with the local grocer, who was kind of like, in those days, the grocer would be kind of like the pawn shop owner or the banker. He was everything. He was the merchant who had all the stock and all the money. People would borrow money from him. People would get their goods on credit. He's like the banker. And Rupa Goswami had sent a message to Sanatan while he was in jail that you need to get out of there and take some of this money I have with the grocer and bribe the jailkeeper and let you out. So Sanatan Goswami was telling the jailkeeper that you are a great saintly person. You can just imagine the Muslim jailkeeper, okay? He's a pretty coarse dude. Big, strong guy. Not very handsome. Not very educated. He's the jailkeeper. So, but Sanatan was telling him, you are a great saintly person in the Muslim tradition. And a saintly person is someone who does not hesitate to assist someone else who is in difficulty. And he was kind of working him over with some sweet talk there. And the Muslim jailkeeper became very moved by Sanatan Goswami, who's a very influential person and a great devotee, an associate of Lord Chaitanya. You just imagine what his association was like. And he was so moved that it described that tears were gliding down his beard. The Muslims always have a beard. So the tears were gliding down his beard. And he said, but I cannot let you go, because when the Nawab returns from his military campaign, there's my head. And he said, well, all right. Then he piled some gold coins up in front of the jailkeeper. Take these gold coins. And they described the eyes of the jailkeeper. They lit up seeing all that gold. Everyone is greedy. Everyone wants to get the gold. And all the cowboy movies, it's also always about the gold, finding the gold, stealing the gold or whatever. And once you got that gold, then you're on top of the world. You don't ever have to work again. You don't have to rob any more banks or whatever. You've got the gold. So the jailkeeper, he was very attracted by seeing that gold. And he said, I still can't do it. The Nawab's going to kill me. And then Sanatan Goswami finally piled the whole thing up in front of him, 7,000 gold coins, and said, just tell the Nawab that when Sanatan went down to the river to pass stool in his chains, because, they didn't have the toilets there in the jail, so he had to go outside to the river to pass and bathe. in the chains with the guard. It said he fell into the water and was washed away by the waves of the Ganga. And he's gone, he's dead and gone. And the jail keeper was like, okay, give me the gold. Get out of here, let him go at night. So Sanatan had a beard, and then he was traveling incognito through the forest and jungle, staying off of the public road. And so his beard and his hair had grown out quite significantly. And then he reached the house of Chandrasekhar Acharya in Varanasi, where Lord Chaitanya was. And he was sitting outside the house, and he had a blanket on and his beard and his hair. And Lord Chaitanya told Chandrasekhar, there's a great devotee outside. Go get him and bring him in. And then he went outside and he came back. I did not see a great devotee there, just some Muslim fakir, some Muslim mendicant, torn clothes, unkempt beard, unkempt hair, like an avadut, like a homeless guy, only who's saintly, a fakir. And then Lord Chaitanya went outside. He said, no. He went outside and he embraced Sanatana Goswami. So that's the fakir story. It's Sanatana Goswami. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave us this verse of ecstatic symptoms. Similarly, we find in the Brahma Samhita, Premanjana Charita Bhakti Balochanena Sandaksadaiva Hridayeshu Balokayanti Yam Shama Sundaram Achintya Guna Swarupam Govindamadi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. Premanjana. Anjana means an ointment or a salve. Sometimes when someone has a disease on the eyes, they make this Ayurvedic medicine that's anjana, a salve that they put on the eyes, and it has a medicinal effect on healing the diseased eyes. Premanjana. But this anjana that's being spoken of in this verse is made of prema. So when the salve of prema is smeared on the eyes, premanjana chariti bhakti balochanena. When the eyes become smeared with this love of Godhead, then yam shama sundaram achincha guna swarupam. One can see the form of Shama Sundar within his heart because of having smeared this salve of love of Godhead on his eyes. So that's a very nice verse. And in a previous verse, which we sing every morning, Menum Varantam Aravinda Dalaya Taksham, that Krishna has these lotus eyes that are like blooming petals. So one who has premanjana, when he stands in front of the deities, he is seeing within his heart Yam Shama Sundaram Achintya Guna Swarupam, the inconceivable form of Shama Sundar, which is nothing like any form in this material world. To actually see the spiritual form of Krishna with spiritual eyes, that is not an ordinary experience that can be described in material terms or can be experienced by persons who do not have their eyes smeared with the salve of love of Godhead, who are not absorbed in Krishna consciousness. That is only available to those devotees. So those are a couple of nice verses. And then, let me see, what else we got here? Oh yeah, we sing every morning during the Sri Tulsi Kirtan. Nayane Haribo Sada Jugala Rupa Rasi. That the devotee is praying that Nayana means the eyes. There's many different words for eyes in Sanskrit. Aksham is one, and Ayana is another one. Nayane Haribo Sada. When will I always see within my vision, Jugala Rupa Rasi, the beautiful forms of Radha Krishna, the beautiful pastimes of love of Radha and Krishna. When will those be manifest to my eyes? By the mercy of serving Srimati Tulsi Devi. So, Nayane Haribo Sada, Jugala Rupa Rasi. Jugala Rupa means the form of Radha and Krishna in their youthful conjugal pastimes. Imagine being able to see that within your heart. What do you see when you look within your heart? Who can volunteer and answer? Yes.
I try to see Paramatma standing in the heart, and then I see myself next to it, but just a little dot.
That's pretty good. I mean, when I look within my heart, I see like, Leave It to Beaver. Or Gilligan's Island.
Well, that was just my transcendental answer. I have another, come up with something else.
Or you look within your heart and you see the pile of darkness that is unlimited and does not seem to go away. Yes.
For some reason, when you said that, my immediate thought was snakes and pirates. I don't know.
Is that a Johnny Depp thing or pirate movies?
It's in my heart.
So, yeah, but when Parimanjana, when the eyes are smeared with love of Godhead and one is absorbed in Krishna consciousness, one doesn't see all those things, but one actually is manifest the vision of Radha Krishna. And there's one other thing I want to touch on. Let's see here.
The devotees asked Prabhupada about Paramatma in the heart. They said, how is he sitting, or what? Prabhupada said he is standing in the heart.
He's not sitting down on the job.
Yeah.
So in the 11th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna reveals his universal form to Arjuna. I'm going to read the first few verses, the translation of that 11th chapter, and we'll conclude with that. Arjuna said, "By my hearing the instructions you have kindly given me about these most confidential spiritual subjects, my illusion has now been dispelled. O lotus-eyed one, I have heard from you in detail about the appearance and disappearance of every living entity, and have realized your inexhaustible glories. O greatest of all personalities, O supreme form, though I see you here before me in your actual position, as you have described yourself, I wish to see how you have entered into this cosmic manifestation. I want to see that form of yours. If you think that I am able to behold your cosmic form, O my Lord, O Master of all mystic power, then kindly show me that unlimited universal self." The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "My dear Arjuna, O son of Pritha, see now my opulences, hundreds of thousands of varied, divine, and multicolored forms. O best of the Bharatas, see here the different manifestations of Adityas, Vasuds, Rudras, Ashwini Kumars, and all the other demigods. Behold the many wonderful things which no one has ever seen or heard before. O Arjuna, whatever you wish to see, behold at once in this body of mine. This universal form can show you whatever you now desire to see and whatever you may want to see in the future. Everything moving and non-moving is here completely in one place. But you cannot see me with your present eyes. Therefore, I give you divine eyes. Behold my mystic opulence." So that's the power of revelation that Krishna can bestow upon one, divine vision. to his devotee. And so the statement is given by Srila Prabhupada in various places that what is Krishna's business? His real business is to satisfy and please his devotees. So Krishna likes to serve his devotees. So his business is to fulfill the desires of his devotees. Of course, the pure devotees only have pure desires to serve Krishna, and Krishna bestows upon them the fulfillment of all their desires. And not that someone, oh, I'm a devotee, give me like millions of dollars and a big mansion and servants and everything that I can enjoy. A devotee would never ask for such things. A devotee only asks the Lord, oh Lord, please engage me in your service. But if a devotee may have some desire, like Arjuna wanted to see the universal form, then Krishna bestowed upon him divine vision. So we can pray to Krishna, please bestow upon me the vision to see that I am your servant and that I always be engaged in your service exclusively without any deviation or side trips or any other kind of trips, without being tripped out in some psychological way, that I can serve you. So, oh yeah, one other thing is the gopis, they criticize Lord Brahma, the creator, because he has created these eyes which blink. And when we blink, there is an interruption of our seeing Krishna, at least for a millisecond. So Lord Brahma, you are such a terrible creator that you've created these eyes in such a way that we have to blink, and therefore there's momentary interruption in our vision of Krishna, who we always want to behold. All right, questions, comments, realizations?
Yeah, it's a nice class.
And I was going to share just you're speaking this last purport about how an advanced devotee can fix his eyes on the deity, and I'll just tell this because it was really inspiring for me both times I was in Mayapur. Mataji probably knows this devotee much better than I do, but I just know there's one devotee, Tara Prabhu, who you probably know also.
Oh yeah, oh, well.
But I had lunch with him once. But I just noticed that every single day I'd take darshan with him because of this. Every single day, and it wasn't a fluke. It was every single day he would be crying in front of Radha Madhava. Every single day without fail, he'd stand there, and inevitably tears would be flowing from his eyes. And so I actually, when I had lunch, I asked him. I said, he said, well, some devotees have their zones, the kirtan zone, but I live in the darshan zone. Like, that's my zone. And for me, that's when I really get the juice. And so it was really incredible to see how much affection and genuine love he had for Radha Madhava. In fact, that he would be crying every single day. And the darshans are, of course, incredible every single day. There's never a dull day for Radha Madhava, but it was really inspiring to see such a devotee.
Yes, he's an old friend of mine. Known him for about 35 years or so.
Wonderful.
From Miami Temple, where I used to
He made sure he always stood right in the center.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that he was the first there, so nobody would take his spot. Yeah, great.
I hadn't seen him for years, and then we went to San Diego, and he was there because his mother lived there. I think she may have passed away since then, but he would come once or twice a year to San Diego because his mother was living there. And his mother was Arabic, of Arabic origin, and he had an Arabic name, Tariq. And she would send him these really incredible medjool dates that he would have in the brahmachari ashram at the Miami Temple, and he would distribute them to us. He's big, fat, like one date was huge, incredible date he would offer them, and they were wonderful. Yes, he's a wonderful devotee, Tariq. Special soul. Anyone else? Yes. Chandrika.
Isn't it that when we come to the temple and we see the deities and they look obviously very beautiful, isn't it really that Krishna's lotus eyes are really seeing us and that we're feeling that in our heart?
Darshan is a two-way street. We're seeing Krishna, Krishna is seeing us. So, the thing is, he can see everything about you. This was also the quality of Srila Prabhupada. People said, we're in Prabhupada's presence. When he looked at you, you were revealed. He knew everything about you. He saw right through you, right through the facade, the mask that we present to the world. Because meanwhile, we have hidden within our heart so many things no one can see. No one can see what's in my heart. But Prabhupada can see what's in your heart. And then everyone will be like, A friend of mine went to see Prabhupada before I became a devotee. And he spent the night at the temple and he came back. And he offered flowers to Prabhupada at Guru Puja. And Prabhupada looked at him. And he said he felt completely exposed, completely naked. Like Prabhupada knew everything about him, everything that was in his heart, all his rascaldom, all the nonsense stuff that he did, all the nonsense stuff he thought about. And that was his first experience in Krishna consciousness, getting Prabhupada's darshan. So he was seeing Prabhupada, but Prabhupada was seeing him. So we are seeing Krishna, but Krishna is also seeing us. It's a wonder that he accepts us. And Prabhupada accepted us too, knowing full well the long, long way we have to go to become Krishna conscious. But yet, he's accepted us. No matter how neophyte we may be, and he wants us to engage in this Krishna consciousness movement and chant the holy name, which is the Juga Dharma. Pavitra?
Yeah, there was a devotee in England. His name was Dhirodatta. He's since passed away from Lou Gehrig's disease, but we would talk. That was in an interview, but he also told me personally he was a brand new devotee and he just came for the first time to see Srila Prabhupada, and he was really into LSD for self-realization and God, having all these realizations that he was God and transcendental knowledge. And he was going to discuss this with Srila Prabhupada. This was on his mind. So he sat in front of Srila Prabhupada, and before he got a chance to say anything, Srila Prabhupada said, so now your generation is interested in this LSD and thinking that you can transcend and become God. And Prabhupada was talking like this, and he said, I couldn't believe it that he knew exactly what I was going to bring up. Yeah.
Yeah. It's all right through him. All right, anyone else? Thank you all very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
One of his things is that